Hey, welcome back. It's Laura at Hyperstamper. I have a beautiful book from the late 1800s here that I've turned into a junk journal. This one's called Tom Brown at Oxford, and it's got this gorgeous flame and a torch here, encircled by this beautiful vine with berries, just a beautiful navy blue with black embossing. We've got the gold frame here, the beautiful publisher's marks. It's just stunning. The only way I pierced the seam on the spine was just with this little eyelet, so I could pop in my vintage bangles here. And that's actually some vintage fabric, navy and black, just like the cover. So let's take a little look inside this little pretty journal. Here's the original inscription. Mrs. S. Grimes, Merry Christmas, 1898. I love that. And I've got a pocket here from the antique book I had, Secret Garden, and just a little vintage recipe there from a recipe book. And I put an 1890s Watchman's Guard dial plate in there, and that would have been used to track their hours. So that's really a kind of a cool thing there. And this beautiful vintage page from my bird book. And it's got the egg, the nest, and the bird there. I love it. A vintage sewing page here. Look at the great images from the 50s. And this is a vintage flip chart paper, and I've hand stamped that. Some vintage music sheet. And this is from 1940s. And this is from the Arborite Company. And this is double-sided, so it's got this beautiful pink pattern. I bet you can't see it too well. These silly lights, and a yellow one. There is a small tiny pattern on the pink, which is just lovely, and it's called Pink Echo, Yellow Echo. Neat. And then just this wonderful 1924, exactly 100 years old banknote. Love it. And this is from the 50s as well. Actually, might be from the 40s, but look at her wonderful outfit here, and she's using one of those old washing machines, non-automatic washer. Ooh. And this lady is very happy to be doing her housework as well. This is just something I made out of lots of wonderful vintage pieces and antique pieces. A little journaling tag there. And I made the pocket out of vintage music sheet, little hidden journaling spot. It's kind of my signature thing to do. And this is from Rhode Island Hospital National Bank, 1938. It's just a fun piece to have. And this is from 1953. Yearbook from Rochester. And look at all the signatures that this woman got, Gail. And this is a wonderful plate here. And then on the other side, I just put some more antique paper and a cluster. And this is made from a 1946. I'm not sure the language. We believe it's German. And when you open it up, look, it's got the old paperclip mark in it. Isn't that neat? So it's from one of those copy machines. Remember, we used to do that, ka-chung, 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 and it would slide out. That's right, I said ka-chung, ka-chung. And this is from 1940s as well, from a photography magazine. I'll just tuck even more stuff in here. A little vintage playing card that you can upcycle. Here's the plugs. A little polka song sheet here. And this here is a floating pocket. And we've got a 1950 stamp collector's page. I put a little cluster on one side and a Malta stamp there. Vintage. And then this is a great magazine page from the 40s, I want to say, this one. And just the best ads in it. Look at how wonderful these are. So you can have a lot of fun if you want to rip them apart and make clusters out of them, or just enjoy the journey through time. This is actually a plate from an art book from the 60s. And this one is called Journeys. And you can actually lift this up here if you wanted, or cut it around and you could frame it. But it's a lovely plate. So we'll put that back on its little paper clip, and that's another 1950s sewing sheet there. Look at all the threads. Love it. This is a children's book with the milkman coming in on horse and buggy. I just think that's fantastic. That children's book is from the 30s. And just more clusters here, and some beautiful vintage botanical pages. And this is one of those wonderful early 1900s woodworking pages. I just absolutely love the carvings they have in here. And this antique music sheet I made into a pocket, and it's got this fantastic early 1900s postcard. And love Myrtle, and this one is going to Portland, Oregon. There we go. Somebody took a fun vacation. beautiful doily, and here I turned it into 2 pockets. So this one here, Moon Song, I put some antique paper on the back, and that's a nice little journaling spot. And then this one here is a hand-typed piece, 1886, and talking about one of the headlines of the day. The fisheries would have been big headlines back in the late 1800s. And take that thread off. A typing instruction page here. 1920s children's book page here. Cat and rat. Love that up there on the board. Made these little booklets here, one for each journal I'm making this week, and just more of that fun page from the yearbook there. And this is from 1907. Just a lot of fun. Just a fun little place to journal in. I made the pocket out of another vintage children's book page, and this is from an early 1900s botanical page. And fun little Bessie Bell and Mary Gray out of a 1930s Mother Goose book. And more of that fun flip chart paper. Another wonderful poem here out of a children's book. And it's another typing lessons book. Some more lace here. Vintage stamps, 1961. More clusters and antique paper. And this is one of these wonderful pages of poetry from the California Troubadour, early 1900s. And a vintage, look at this hilarious image of a vintage lunchbox lunch. And a little bit of lace here, or sorry, crochet here on cotton. Antique paper underneath for a little hidden journaling spot. And then another antique book page here, and the last book of this page of this book, the end. And that brings us there. So that's going on Etsy. Hyperstamper.etsy.com. I hope you'll visit, and I hope you'll subscribe. I'll see you soon.